What's up? You checking out the Frequent Flyer, and this is the Avacopter from Helicute, and they're advertising this as a high performance quadcopter. And this thing definitely is a quadcopter. It's in the plus configuration. Now, you guys probably do remember that I had a quad that resembles this a lot on the channel called the Heli Fury 360 from Cyma. This is it right here. So it's very close in resemblance, the same form factor almost exactly, but the Helicute is a little longer. The Vacopter is a little longer than the Heli Fury, and I actually like the Vacopter more than I like the Heli Fury because the Vacopter has the ability to swap out the batteries. So it has removable batteries, and they're almost normal batteries. These are 500 milliamp hour 1S packs, but they do have this pH 2.0 connection on there. 500 milliamp hour packs usually don't come with this connector on here, and if it does have this connector on here, usually it's the longer packs. But nevertheless, I'm still happy that this thing does have removable batteries, even if they do have this pH 2.0 connection on it, and it's still better than having the internal battery that you can't remove. And so this guy flies pretty nice. It's kind of fast. It's definitely faster than this Heli Fury 360. This Heli Fury 360 is multi-protocol transmitter compatible, whereas this one, I don't know yet. I have tried a lot of the protocols that I have don't work with this guy, but who knows, maybe there's a protocol out there on Deviation that does work this guy. But as for now, you're going to have to use this transmitter. The transmitter isn't bad. It does have altitude hold on it. Both of them have altitude hold, which is why I plan to mod this guy. I think this one is a little better for modding because the fuselage or the middle of the craft is a little wider than the Heli Fury 360. The Heli Fury 360, it seems like you're going to have to do some weird orientation of the board to get it in here, or maybe use a very small flight controller in there. But this one, it's pretty wide, so you can get a standard FC in there with no problem. It looks like from the outside. I haven't opened it up, but it is definitely wide enough. And so anyhow, this guy's a pretty nice flyer. The yaw rate is pretty nice on the third rate. It has 3 speeds, and it can fight a little wind, not a lot of wind. And you would imagine that it can't fight a lot of wind because of all of this surface area on it. And it's pretty light too. This one is actually a few grams lighter than the Heli Fury 360. The Heli Fury 360 was weighing in at about 60 grams, a little over 60 grams. And this one here is weighing 57 point something grams. So just a few grams lighter, but it feels a lot lighter without the battery. But once you add the battery, it's 57 grams and a little bit. Oh, I didn't really go over the transmitter for you guys that don't plan to mod this thing or anything. This right shoulder button, if you hold it in, it brings up headless mode, and you tap it to make it fly backwards down the heading. The return to home is what they're calling it, but neither one of those things are going to help you out with this guy. This thing really is shaped in a way that you shouldn't really lose orientation with it, because the back of it is a little longer. So I really wouldn't fool around with headless mode. I definitely didn't fool around with headless mode with this. I just made sure it did have a headless mode, and it does have a headless mode, but I don't fool around with that. But if you press this button in over here, this sets it up for the flips. It arms it for a flip. It only does rolls. It doesn't do forward or backwards flips. So you press this in, and then you hit it to either side, and it'll roll in that direction. I found that it does rolls better when it's moving forward. It kind of loses altitude when you're in the middle of the battery pack. When you do a roll, it'll kind of lose altitude. Oh, I also found that this guy loses altitude sometimes if you're at a hover and you do some yaw. It'll go down pretty fast in altitude until you stop the yaw, and it does it more than the other in one direction. And so if you press this stick in over this side, this is the speed selection. You press it once, you're going to be in second rate. You press it again, you're going to be in the third rate. It starts out in the first rate. And this button here, I'm not sure. Oh, this button here, I think it starts the engines. It starts the motors to spin with this button. It doesn't take off though. It will not take off when you press this. If you're in the air and you hit this, it will come down and land, but it just doesn't take off. This starts the props to moving. You can also start it by bringing both sticks to the lower outside corners. That will start the props to spinning, and then you just go up on this left stick and it'll go up as you raise the throttle. And also to calibrate it, you go both sticks to the lower left. They call it auto trim, but it's really a recalibration. So that's how you get this thing to level out if it's drifting a lot. And these are trim buttons here. So you have the left and right trim. This is forward and backwards trim. And this is the yaw trim. You don't have throttle trim on this guy. And I'm guessing this little thing here is for you to put a phone holder or whatnot for a different model that might have a camera or whatnot. Maybe they're coming out with a model that has a camera, or maybe they have a version of this with a camera. But that is there. Right now there's nothing under there. When you pop this off, you can see the inside of the transmitter. It does take 3 AAA batteries. You can remove the screw and still have it in position. And so that's all there is to say about this guy. It's a pretty nice flyer, pretty decent yaw rate on the third rate, and it has removable batteries. The instructions manual is this little guy here. It's pretty straightforward, has nice English in here, nice little illustrations there, black and white. Pretty much explains everything, how to fly and everything, and what does what on the transmitter. Pretty awesome little quad. Let's go check it out in flight. All right, y'all, we're gonna try to check out this Avacopter real quick out here on the outskirts. We're actually behind the Home Depot. So seems like a nice quiet spot to check this thing out. Okay, we're in low rates and it looks like we're gonna have to switch to mid rates at least. Okay, so we at mid rates now. Let's look at the yaw. The wind is taking it. So I can't really see the yaw, but I guess you guys can see that half a yaw spin there. Let's try it again. That's the yaw. We're doing forward flight here. Forward flight. Backwards flight. It flies backwards a little faster than it does forward. Let's try sideways. Side flight is not enough to fight this wind out here. We're going into the third rate. So the third rate is barely enough to gain some ground on this wind here. It's a very light breeze. This is with the wind here. I was actually flying this around in light wind, very light wind, and this thing seems like it's a pretty fast flyer. Here we go, we're gaining some speed on the wind there. This is with the wind. This is against the wind. So it has a decent amount of pitch. Let's try a flip. That's a side flip. It only flips sideways actually. And it went down from a flip there. I guess it's going to do better when it's moving forward. Here we go. So it does nice barrel rolls. check it out. I like this little guy better than, I like it more than the, what is that? The Heli Fury from Sima. This one is a little better. It banks a little better. This one feels a lot lighter, and this one has a removable battery. Man, and the wind is really taking off on it now. I'm just gonna bring it down. The wind is taking it away. Man, just my luck. Lately, it's been too windy to fly these little guys. But when I was out here flying and I wasn't recording, it wasn't so much wind. But I guess you guys had a pretty good look at how this thing flies. And I really like it a lot. Especially for what I plan to do to it. I plan to mod this thing, drop a different board in here. Thanks for watching.